Harsh, Akansha, good to see you guys. How are you doing? Most important question. I hope the family and you are safe and healthy and you've got your first vaccine at least.
Yes.
Akansha? Yeah?
Yes. Once
Great.
vaccinated and we're healthy and
Awesome.
happy.
You too, Harsh? Yeah?
Yeah, man. We've parents have managed to take both shots.
So, yeah.
We're kind of on our way as well, and just hope as many people really can go out there and get the shots. Which is I think the quickest way back to normalcy. I don't know if you saw, but New York City has lifted all COVID restrictions, and hopefully we can kind of be there one day, not too far into the future.
True that, man. That's a whole different conversation. The crowds coming in for football, crowds coming in for French Open, Wimbledon. But yeah, we'll get there. So this is Ray getting trippy, courtesy Vasanbala.
Yeah, super.
Because I saw Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota, and I said, man, and I remember telling Gulshan, saying, dude, this is such a trippy film. And of course, there's a lot more to it. It's not just about stoned people hanging out and having fun. That's just one aspect of it. But I loved it totally. And I have to ask you, Akansha, and then you, Harsh, what did you think of your director's acting skills?
Oh my God. Listen, so when they shot this, I wasn't on set. I didn't go to Jaipur that time. So I didn't know. But when we were shooting, so basically, because we had limited people we could bring on set because of COVID restrictions. Sir was using the stylist, the DOP, our still photographer. Everyone was on set. I saw played a part. I didn't know Sir was one of them. Cut to I'm watching the film and I see him and I cracked up. I said, Sir, you're fantastic. I didn't even know. So I honestly think he's a all-rounder, to say the least, and he acts just as well as he directs.
Yeah. Your expert comments on your director's performance, Harsh.
Yeah, so Vasanbala is the best actor in this film.
For sure.
Why pray? Why pray? Tell all.
And he plays a character called Ramin Malik that I hope makes his way into the hearts of people. And I wish I could show you the deleted scenes one day, because there's a good 10-12 minutes of improv that is not in the film, where I'm doing that whole Hollywood audition bit, and one of the ADs, who was also the AD on Spotlight, is playing an assistant director of Chidiyagarh, the film that Vikram Arora is shooting within Spotlight. And she comes to me, and I'm stoned and I'm drunk, and I'm like, listen, tell me the truth. Do you think I'm a good actor? And she's like, yeah, sir, you're definitely good. I said, don't lie. And then she says, says something about Ramin. I'm like, tell Ramin that his shirt is hideous, okay? And his glasses are ridiculous. There was this scene where I can't get the look right at the start of the film, and I'm having a drink, and he's obviously been on set with me that day, and he's like, it's not working, Vic, it's not working. Can you do one more? And he comes to me and he's like, Vikram, I'm sorry, I think I lost my glasses. I'm like, I don't have your glasses, okay? I don't have your glasses. And this was all improv, and that was the first day that Radhika Madan was on set, and she was just like, who are these two crazy human beings, and what is going on in this film? But because I really understood the tone of the film and what he wanted, and just let loose, so
I have to tell you that the colorful shirt, Vasanbala's colorful shirt, has a lot to do with cultural antecedents. Now, now you live in Juhu and other areas, but Harsh, your family is from Chembur, your dad, your granddad, and things like that. And Bombay Tamils from Chembur, and because I'm a Bombay Tamil, you see, you can't take the Tamil out of us. The Bombay gives you a certain sophistication, this, that, but in your heart of hearts, that shirt is us. That shirt is what we go back to. That's the way it is.
That's the genius of Vasan, is that the references say so much, but they're also like humorous and so subtle. And like even that Moharat shot,
and if you don't, you just pass. But there's so many gifts within his films.
Correct. Yeah. Even that Moharat shot, the Moharat shot is such a Bollywood thing. It's such like a traditional like single screen vibe. The Moharat shot, and everybody's got to make sure that it's perfect, and then otherwise the whole film is jinxed. And so there's a lot of like, Vasan is a cinephile, but he knows all like Masi Bollywood. He knows like the films that played at Cannes. He's like the full spectrum.
Yeah. So I'm not a cinephile at all. But I don't know, it's this weird fetish, something. I watch every terrible film. Like, not bad films, terrible films. Like, it's my thing. I go to the theatre, I'll be the one person in the theatre, I watch them. And I genuinely do believe I'm the only person in India. Cut to, I mean, sir. And he's talking about something I referenced, a very crappy film. And he was like, da 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 da. And I was like, so how do you know? He's like, I'm a connoisseur. So we are the two connoisseurs on the spectrum. That's it. It's just you and I. So he also watches those films. So he's just, like I said, master of all, I guess.
No, and it comes across in the influence in the work. Now, you see, regional cinema is so beautiful in India. Most wonderful cinema comes out of regional cinema, whether it's Tollygunj, Malayalam cinema, Tamil cinema, Bengali cinema. But I don't want to take names of TV channels, but TV channels will find the worst regional cinema and dub it. And that's really hilarious when you see some of them. So, Akanksha, let's talk a little bit about your character. It's really the ideal foil to this Ranveer Singh meets Johnny Depp kind of character played by Harsh. I don't know if anybody else has described it that way, but I just thought Ranveer Singh meets Johnny Depp plus Harshvardhan Kapoor. And she's, I like her a lot. I mean, the sense she doesn't take things too seriously. She acts in Punjabi cinema, and she turns around and says, I'm just having a great time. So a no filters kind of person. When the part came to you, was it very clearly demarcated, or did you improvise on the set on a lot of aspects of her career, of her life?
Yeah. So I think, so what you said was what was written on the top of my script, that don't take yourself too seriously, follow your heart. So these were the things I knew that Anuya was as a human being, and I knew the impact she needed to have on Vic's life for his journey to go on, the last fight, etc. I knew she was a mirror to him. She was his voice of reason. So I knew these things were ingrained in her, and I knew these things she was for sure as a person. The rest was most definitely improvised, from dialogue to like her reactions to their vibe together, because that's how Sir does it. He like, even when I tried to prep a little on our Zoom narrations, our Zoom readings, he would be like, like, that was his thing. So he didn't let you prep. That was his preparation. That just know the core of who she is, and we'll take it from there. So I think that's Vasan Sir's expertise. That's how he, deals with his characters. So but I knew her basic, because she's an equal and opposite to Vic. I know the two main things where she doesn't take herself too seriously. She wants to have a good time. She's just not all in her head. Basically, exactly opposite to Vic. That's what brought their whole conflict in the last scene that you see. So yeah, he was
well done. Harsh, I know that you extensively watch cinema. In fact, I remember meeting you for the first time ever at Mehra's office during the Mirzia interview with Saimi and you, and coming out and telling Mehra, saying, dude, this guy has seen a lot of stuff. Because you've watched so much cinema. Would Ray have ever been in your watching catalog, or did you not get the opportunity to, or subsequently have you got curious enough to sample Ray?
Well, great question actually. So when I went to film school in 2008, 9, 10, they made us watch the Apu trilogy and write papers on it. But that was like 12 years ago. I don't remember much of it, but it just kind of goes to show the impact that he's had on world cinema, where a bunch of kids in Southern California in a film school are writing papers on Ray. So that was kind of my first interaction with his material. And then I have a huge film collection, and I have Nayak, because stylistically, I think it's very cool. I love films about films, and I love the idea about this really cool, suave superstar taking the train and meeting this woman, and I really love those tight close-ups of him putting on the sunglasses and being on the phone. And I think that's really, really very pulpy and cool. So now actually I'm going to get back more into it. I have a lot of his films on Blu-ray that I'm yet to kind of watch. But now that I've been a part of this anthology, I'm kind of motivated to go back, and because sometimes I get a bit complacent about watching the older stuff, because there's so much new stuff. But definitely going to sample it after this.
Yeah, and that's really the idea, to introduce a whole new generation to Ray's work. And if it's going to get people curious enough, these adaptations, to go and sample a bit of his work. I mean, I had sampled a little bit, but the moment I watched these stories, I was like, oh man, you've got to move beyond the Pather Panchalis and explore more, at least read more. because they're basically children's stories, aren't they? I mean, in the sense they've been made for an adult audience or adapted for an adult audience. But
Right.
whether it's a Feluda or even some of these stories, they were done for kids. Akanksha, the breakup scene, there's a very intense scene. I mean, it's not a spoiler, so we can talk about it freely. Where Harsh and you have this confrontation and this and that, and I thought there was some very decent acting chops both of you displayed. Is that glycerine? Do you use it when you cry? Just a curious question. Or were there actual tears?
A mix of both. I remember Sir telling me a few things before, and he's like, "That's sure to make you cry." So yeah, there is. I don't personally like glycerine because you can tell. I do have another trick though. I don't know if I want to reveal it, but it's a mix of both for sure. Yeah.
Wow, magicians and actors never tell.
Yeah.
What about you, Harsh? Did you have references? Did you model yourself? I mean, I just threw out Ranveer Singh meets Johnny Depp at the top of my head. Did you have any references?
Johnny Drama and Vincent Chase from Entourage. Especially Johnny Drama, because he's somebody that comes from a really, really good place, but he's very insecure. And Vincent Chase, because he's a really beautiful man, but everybody initially in the first couple of seasons of Entourage only likes him for the way that he looks, and he's a pretty boy. But he's kind of really like confides in his friends, and like an E's character and Kevin Connolly's character and stuff like that. So a lot of Entourage is a show that Vasan and I really loved. And then also I brought a bit of myself to it, and when I was kind of prepping for it, I haven't seen the kind of stardom at all that Vikram Arora's character has seen. I've chosen to do slightly different movies, but he said that the stardom that Vikram's character's experience is kind of like Vijay Deverakonda, where he's just become such a big star that you sometimes when you become such a big star and the audience has a certain expectation from the kinds of movies or the trademarks or the the typical things that you have to do in films to kind of please them, it becomes harder to kind of experiment a little bit. And I think Vikram is trying to break away from his image and trying to like be recognized desperately as an artist, which is kind of funny, but also tragic. So just kind of like all of those things, and then my own work and Vasan's amazing stuff, and just try and combine tools to get as close as you can to what it should be like.
Yeah, you don't have to go very far to understand mainstream stardom. I mean, AK, he had your dad. His tropes like jackass and this and that. People, the audience still screams for it. I mean, it's like that look. The look that your character has, I'm sure your dad goes through phases when he doesn't want to say jackass, but he just does it because people ask him to do it,
Exactly.
And those are things you've got to do. It comes with the stardom, and but yeah, the fact that he's nice to people, that there are portions where his mother tells him he's fundamentally a nice guy, and then he treats his fans with a lot of love and respect. That must have also appealed to you, because through all the eccentricities and the madness, this guy, this mainstream hero, is a bit of a softie in his heart. Yeah?
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, even in that confrontation with his mother later, there's a lot of vulnerability, hopefully, that kind of comes through with those close-ups and stuff. And even when kind of Kanchi's character comes in and sees him from the first time, he's like curled up like a little child that's been wounded, and just those kind of nuances. And even when he kind of later in the film, I don't want to reveal too much about the end scenes and stuff, but even in those scenes, he's just somebody that desperately wants to be loved, really, and I think everybody really wants to be loved, right? We all kind of want to be loved, and we all want to kind of feel like we belong, and so yeah, I hope kind of through the tantrums and the insecurities and the bratty behavior, the audiences can really take away the core and the soul of this person.
Akansha, another thing that struck me about the way your character is written is she's a modern girl. She's in the media. She has a boyfriend who she can pick up and come and meet. So she obviously comes from a progressive family, but at the same time, she has what they call in Hindustani andhavishwas. She has superstitions. She subscribes to God women and God men. And I thought that's an interesting layer, because I will meet the most modern techies, and suddenly they will have this whole side to them, which is, oh my God, but I blindly believe in this and that. Have you met a fair few people like that in your life? And that also must have appealed to you as a character trait for this character.
Most definitely. And I also feel it's funny because the people you meet further from their core, like if you meet Indians in America living in London, who don't wake up to the same kind of, mandir nahi jate, ye nahi karte. They are the most religious. They hold on, they cling on almost, to the little religious, spiritual aspects of our, of our being. So I feel like also I do know of people who would, maybe the higher they go, or if they feel the more they've achieved, the more religious they get, because you feel like there's someone you need to thank, or or you need to hold on to that, So I do believe that the more people get in life, like I've seen this, I think that's what I also picked up for Anuya. The more you have in life, the more reason you have to hold on to God or religion.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
No,
Yeah, you're right.
absolutely.
He's agreeing with you. He's agreeing with you.
Yeah.
And often, again, without giving too much away, often you find kindred souls in the strangest of places. I mean, who would think that Radhika's character has anything in common with Harsh's character? And Harsh, you find that, and for a moment, the audience actually wishes that maybe these guys should have a scene. Maybe they should just make out or something, because it goes beautifully in that direction. You know what I mean? But then at the heart of it, there is some kind of a soul connection. Because you might have a trait that you think is it's just passé, but it might have inspired somebody else. And I think that, to me, is the crux of what Spotlight is about, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we've talked about in previous interviews as well, is like the idea is to create and not be too hard on yourself, because you can never underestimate impact. Like for example, if I do a film that initially opens to mixed reviews, but over a period of time, it only takes a small group of people, to really create a following and like make sure that piece of work has impact. Like maybe 20 years from now, some crazy kid will get the DVDs of Bhavesh Joshi and Spotlight and be like, wow, that was cool, and that's it. That's all that it takes, so you don't have to go chasing, oh my God, like everybody doesn't love me. What am I going to do when my life is over? And, and I think that's kind of where Vic is. Like, he wants everybody to desperately love him at all times, and that's kind of where the insecurity comes from. And sometimes you can really, truly be surprised and taken aback yourself by how far your work can reach, and it can surprise and help people in wonderful and unpredictable ways. So I think behind all of the darkness and madness and initially these unlikable characters, there's a lot of beauty and innocence in the film and what it's trying to say, I think.
Both of you have fledgling careers. You're starting off and things like that. But you both have been very fortunate to work with extremely fine filmmakers. I mean, you look at you. I told you this when I met you for Guilty. The fact that you worked with Ruchi and now you're working with Vasan. And you look at Harsh's filmography. I mean, does it get any bigger than Mera? And then follow that up with Vikram, and then eventually with Vasan. So, the overnight stardom might not have happened, but I'm sure, Akanksha, you feel blessed to have collaborated with the kind of people that you do, because that is not something all actors get.
I mean, you hit it on the nail, because I'm so grateful, because without throwing shade or whatever, I'd rather do these films because like it takes people careers to get these kind of filmmakers who want to work with you. To have that kind of faith with you, like on you. You can do like 5 massive blockbusters and still be like, but can she pull this role off? And I think Harsh and I both have manifested these kind of directors because we wanted to do these kind of films and, roles that speak to audiences. And even like the ad that I did in the middle, even for an Abhishek Varman to call me, like just these kind of, that's what I want, right? It's the filmmakers and the content, like, oh, she can play this role. I think that's more important to me than 500 crores in the box office. And I guess, I'm just too grateful, like not even joking.
I think I have time for one more question, so I'm going to take that to Harsh. The music of this piece, man, unbelievable. So there are, some traditional, very filmy kind of songs. There's an international feel kind of song. I don't know if you get involved in the music or you did dialogue with your directors, Harsh. It's just so wonderful, the music. Have you seen your story? Have you had a screening or whatever?
Of course,
or they
yeah.
sent you?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you must have really enjoyed the music, both the background, both the BGM, as well as the tunes, man.
Yeah, Rahul, right? Kanchi is his name.
Yeah.
He's a 20-year-old from Italy. And Vasan has got a great eye for talent. And it kind of reminds me of when Anurag collaborated with Amit Trivedi on Devdi. and you had this new kind of voice with these incredible kind of songs, and
Well said.
these authors and visionary filmmakers are great at kind of like finding and picking talent. And also I think casting really, the music is fantastic and it's incredible. And yeah, like you said, it's so referenced, but also kind of feels new, and it's truly wonderful, and I think it really elevates the piece. But also the colors, Ishit's cinematography, Dhara's production design, it looks like it's hypnotic, it's like a dream that you don't want to kind of leave, and hopefully one day, I'll be lucky enough to have access to the extended cut, which is a very, very strong feature film. It's like 75 minutes.
Yeah,
And be able to-
Wow.
I
We'd all love that.
For this, when I hug Harsh, sir and I'm a Punjabi, so he made me give him a few sentences in Punjabi, which he turned into music, which I sung, but then we dubbed that off. I don't know why. Maybe obviously I don't sound as good as I should have. There would have been a little couplet of Punjabi song as well.
Awesome, guys. I'm loving your trajectory. I mean, here are you in a fantastic piece which has Manoj Bajpayee and KK Menon and you guys, and you're carrying this entire story on your shoulders. Much love to you, Akanksha and Harsh. Thank you for this chat, and stay safe and healthy, okay? Thank you for the joy. Cheers.
One world, your station.
Radio